part. It's just a very awkward core. The timings are very sensitive. You have to get off to a running start. You need to be able to pressure around once you get your level 6 up. You do have some good D push with the Blood Right up. You've got some good damage flying through, but you need to play with that spike in the Bloodseeker. Now you do have the Bloodseeker CM combo. Blood Right into the Frostbite is actually really potent here for 4 Zoomers. And that should allow them to maybe get some momentum here, to even get the Rubik up. So you have more combinations of Bloodseeker to hammer in the control in the Blood Right. So there are some ways to play around it, but they need to play really quick. The Bloodseeker is one of those heroes that dominates lanes and sustains itself quite well. You need to build your foundation around that for Zoomers, and you need something in mid to kind of complement that playstyle here.
Okay. Well, Undying 4th pick up now. Need 2 more cores to come out, and we are going to have a Medusa. Fair enough, first game of the day, Medusa is the pickup. In terms of dealing with the Medusa, John, there's not really much in the way of dealing with it. I mean, you've got the PA. Super late game, maybe you buy Divine Rapier up against this Medusa and you could take her out. In terms of early to mid game, the PA is generally just farming. Maybe once you have a Deso up after the Battle Fury, you might get involved, but even with the Deso up, generally speaking, you prefer to have a BKB on top. I don't think it's really recommended you go the BKB before the Deso either this game. You're not going to have enough damage to deal with the Medusa if you don't have the Deso. So I think it's a great Medusa pickup by Undying, and now I'm wondering how 4 Zoom is going to deal with it.
Yeah, it's really strong for Undying. You mentioned the timings of the PA. You have to keep in mind the Medusa's farming up just as fast as the PA there, just by nature of her skills. So the jungle's going to be a really good spot for Medusa. There's an interesting timing the PA is going to have to hit. And even with the BKB timing after, say, the Battle Fury Desert you mentioned, the BKB is not going to stop you if you jump in under Stone Gaze, right? And when you're talking about the PA wanting to one-shot heroes, Medusa's probably the one hero that will never get one-shot by PA. You have to deal with a mana shield, so you jump in. Even if you jump in first, the best you do is maybe cut the mana in half, cut her HP down to 3/4. But the Medusa is still going to be standing as the game goes on, so there's a constant issue here for Zoomers to have to deal with. They're going to have to find a mid that can really start to play aggressive here with the Bloodseeker. So the key combo for Zoomers is an aggressive mid that can punish the jungle, jump in fast. You don't have the option for the Void Spirit. There is the choice for a Gunner Ember here if they wanted to, but we have seen that also just sort of under-deliver. I wouldn't put it on Gunner. The hero is just in a very sort of awkward spot. But if they did go for something like the Ember here, there's not that amazing lockdown from Undying. They've got Ogre Stun, Rolling Thunder, and Arrow. The Ogre Stun's probably your best bet, but it could be tricky. And they ban it out themselves.
Right. I'm wondering now what 4 Zoom is going to pick up for that mid lane. Still Undying have the first pick, and they require their own possible mid lane. So you could run the Medusa Pango mid if you really wanted to. And they end up going for the Puck, which was left till this whole time. I think it's a great pick, though, into the Bloodseeker, the PA, just locking them down, kind of removing that mobility. We've seen the Puck as well. It's just kind of broken right now as a hero. And you combine it with the Medusa, of course, just being able to lock everyone down with the Dream Coil. Being able to just whack away with that Medusa should be pretty darn good for Undying. But for Zoomers, what's their answer to all this, is the question. They need a mid lane pickup themselves, unless they're going to run the Blood mid, which I wouldn't recommend.
Nah. I think the one choice they have that would slot in nicely here is maybe an OD. It's just that the OD also sort of has this weird farming timing. But the OD gives you a stable way of maybe handling that Medusa, isolating her away with the imprisonment at the least, and focusing on everyone else. Holds its lane against the Puck. All right, it's a Puck. It's not going to be fun regardless. But the OD has options there. They go with a Kunkka instead. So they're trying to build up endurability. They're trying to play fast.
Okay.
This is one way to get that done. You have a lot of ways now to lock in the Puck with the X. You can sort of bring back the Medusa as well if she tries to run out. And the boat buff will keep you alive for a lot longer than Undying would expect. It is one way to kind of play with that. They need to play fast. The point still stands here. You have to play fast with Gunner. He needs to get off to a running start. Kunkka against Puck is a pretty stable lane for Kunkka. The Puck should still have the better time, but you can sort of play with a Tidebringer. Bryle might just have to be on point with his phase shift. but it shouldn't be too big of an issue for either side. It's going to be down to whether or not the supports can rotate in. But yeah, it's a great draft to start off here. Undying, they just kind of want to turtle out with the Medusa. Zoomers need to hit that spike early on. Buy space for Sammy quick, and once he has his Deso Battle Fury, maybe a BKB up, they need to start playing fast before Timado can really take over.
All right, fair enough. This is going to be game 1 of the upper bracket final. Winner of this, of course, going straight through to the grand final, and loser will have to go back to the lower side of the playoffs for the lower bracket final instead. So you definitely just want to try and secure your spot right now if you can. Big deal for both these teams. John, hard question for you, sir. Which draft looks better in your eyes?
I'd say Undying. I think their win condition's a lot easier to pull off. Medusa, all you need to do is buy space for her to farm up. And then you have ways to deal with BKB pickups. You don't have a natural defusal carry here from Zoomers. You don't have an OD to worry about. You don't have a natural disarm on the Zoomers as well. Undying just has a lot that they can build off the Medusa, where Zoomers, they need to hit these timings really strictly. Like 15 minutes in, you want to see the Bloodseeker running around. You want to see the Kunkka setting up kills. You want to see Sammy all set by the 20-25 minute mark here afterwards, and then just run around with PA while it's strong. If they miss any of those timings, it could be a bit shaky for Zoomers. So they really have to zoom by here in game number 1 if they want to shut down Timado.
Yeah, thank you for that, John. It's a terrible pun, by the way, just so you know. Terrible.
What are you talking about? It's great. It's a great pun. They're zoomers. You're zooming.
First game of the upper bracket final, John. That's what you came up with. You had how many days to come up with something better than that?
I know what you're talking about, Mike. It's great. You're hurting my feelings, Mike. It's 4 a.m. I used my 2 brain cells for that one, Mike.
No, he's just unfair.
Big smoke up already, John. 4 Zoomers. They're going to run down into the Radiant side jungle, but it looks like Undying is well aware that this might be happening. You've got Timado there, but that's about it. And he's just going to sit by that tier 1 bottom tower. There's no getting him. They are going to get some nice wards off at least. Just one for now to get those courier snipes going. Zoom is still just waiting for somebody to show up. Gunnar checking the mid lane for the Observer Ward. Seems to believe it's, well, he might believe it's in the mid lane. He's going to take another tower hit.
Yeah, they did ping the right spot. We just don't have a sentry on hand. Still no excitement here. They're just going to break out for their Bounty runes. It's like it's going to be a stable 2-for-2 trade, and I think that's just fine for both sides. Zoomers will want to get to a running start with their lanes. Do have a look at our mid. Brawl is on the puck. Of course, going to be laning up against Gunnar's Kunkka. Again, this lane is going to be steady for both sides. Kunkka can just kind of harass out with the Tidebringer. Puck has that excellent range and excellent base damage on hand. Has the orb to toss out every now and again to clear out the waves as well. So there are options here for both sides to kind of play around. The Kunkka, I guess, has a better time in terms of pumping out the Tidebringer harassment, but Braille, once you have the phase shift, you can kind of sort of preempt that. Gunner's going to have to be on point with timing the Tidebringer as well, as early phase shift is not the easiest for Braille to dodge out with. So going to be steady so far. Important to find those power runes as they come out. We're going to see if the supports can get that proper rotation off as the levels build up. We're going to be looking at level 3 spikes for both sides. A bit more potent for Gunnar if he wants to go for the X combinations on hand. But again, it's a puck. You're going to be hard-pressed to kind of apply that harassment out, even if you land a torrent like this.
Yeah, nice torrent there by Gunnar. Very even matchup so far. Courier is going to go down. A nice snipe by Bryle, but he's taken a lot of harassment from that. Nevertheless, we'll have a quick look at the other lanes. Of course, on the top lane, you've got Saberlight there up against Sammy and Husky. Saberlight will be there along with Moon Meander, who's looking for an arrow as we speak. Swashbuckle out, Saberlight trying to set up for a kill. It's like Moon just throws the arrow onto the neutral camp instead. Not really finding the opportunity. And of course, down a bot lane, you've got Brax and Ocean up against Dubu and Tomato. For now, it kind of looks like that lane is going to favor them as well. It's going to be very hard to pressure this Medusa in this lane with a Bloodseeker Rubik. I mean, generally speaking, you might be able to do a really good job with this duo in any other matchup, but the Medusa doesn't really seem to care very much.
No, and all Tomato needs to do is stand back, throw out the Mystic Sneak to clear out waves, find her farm, and for the most part, Tomato is allowed to do that. Doobie's doing a great job just tossing his body forward, tossing his spells out, preventing any sort of gap close here, and that just makes it difficult. Like, Tomato's always far enough away because of Doobie's spacing, and that's all you need here for Undying. So the slower pace of the game just favoring what Undying wants to do, all their cores getting off to a great start, and maybe once you hit level 3 here for Brax and Ocean, you can get the lift into Bloodright. It just doesn't feel amazing. Like, Tomato, once he hits level 3, is going to be tanky. Doobie's just inherently tanky as well. So you really have to force these guys out of position to find those kill opportunities early on.
Ooh, Frostbite top lane. Moon is going to be able to leap away. Does interrupt the large camp pull that was made there by Husky. Tammy's actually having a reasonably difficult time with this top lane so far. He's only got 12 last hits. Saberlight sitting at 15 now. Moomian are going to come in. They're going to try and apply some more pressure, but of course the Blink Strike away from Sammy. It's going to be there, and Gunner's Courier again going down. Bryle finding it another time. Gunner, he at least got his bottle out. Second time this game already, though, that he's lost that Courier.
Yeah, it's not the best thing to happen for mid. You're delaying out some key item timings down the line as well. I think Bryle was just aiming to take that Courier out before the bottle got out. Fortunate for Gunner that he did manage to pick it up. As you mentioned, it's still holding steady for a puck. Like, you're getting this bonus gold out with the Courier. You're finding slightly better last hits here as well. You're going to be lining up for some key level spikes down the line. Bryle's going to hit his 5 just slightly faster. And, of course, the puck can reach out these power runes a lot quicker than the Kunkka can. You could maybe try to play with a Torrent here if you are Gunner, but you will want a support rotation out. But you're talking about Rubik and a CM rotating out. It's not as potent as, say, a Mirana coming in.
Oh, mid lane. Gunner goes for an X. Durbu going to show up. 4-minute power rune is up atop the top rune spot. Bryle is going to make the run up. He might just get there. Lift is out, however. Gunner with the Torrent as well. And Bryle now is dropping very low. They make sure that Gunner does get that DD rune. That's going to make life very hard for Bryle in this mid lane now. You're going to have to deal with that DD at some point. And in fact, Gunner, he just uses it pretty much immediately. Not messing around. So he's got about a minute of a very easy lane on this Kunkka.
Yeah, that's going to be troublesome for Bryle. We've seen him sort of miss out in his phase shift dodge, leaving that at the level 1 you'd expect. Still up top, they're making a jump on Saberlight.
They're going to try. Saberlight's still alright. He's not getting lucky with the lucky shot, though. It won't matter too much. Sammy, of course, not level 6 yet. In fact, that's a lot of damage out with that Swashbuckle. Now the Starfall. Sammy going to jump back in after Saberlight. He'll get the first blood. He might lose his life for it, but Moon still trying. Does get the kill now. Back onto Husky. And he does not get that one. In fact, Gunner does take his own life away. But now Bryle comes in with a great orb out. Gets the CM pick up on the puck. A 2-for-2 trade, but it definitely favors 4 Zoomers. They got the first blood gold, and of course Gunner ends up getting a nice kill and a bit of XP for himself on this Kunkka.
Yeah, you're definitely happier on the Zoomers end. You take out that core, you take out the support as well. Bryle only finding the short end of that trade. Not the ideal situation up top, and that does help. Does help it stabilize a bit more for the Zoomers. So you're still seeing a slight lead come out here for Undying. 1k up, 2-2, but rather even start. And despite that early aggression, you're still having issues, although they jump Saberlight again.
I mean, if you can do it, you may as well do it, but now a Dream Coil's there by Bryle to lock them down, and they may have gone too far this time around. And Sammy, he's gone, and Husky is not getting away either. Fool me once, they say, John. Undying, they punished them for it this time around, and of course, killing off the PA like that, it's going to pay some dividends. I mean, Sammy's stuck at 21 CS right now. Look at the Medusa. Tomato, 37 and 2. It's not going to be great news for Sammy if that keeps up.
Yeah, and the flash farm the Medusa has earlier on is just so much better. And then the PA, especially without the Battle Fury ups, you're always going to have this slight farm advantage here. For Tomato, the dual lane of 4 Zoomers without Bloodseeker and Rubik is just not amounting to much yet. They're still not able to stop Tomato's farm. They're not able to really hold him out, even if he's solo. And that is a bit of an issue. That just means your Medusa's getting so much more. The rotation up top is leading to a bit of a shove-in now as well, and Zoomers have to counteract this early on.
Moon Meander, he has one leap charge at the moment. Sammy, chase him down. Damn, that Swashbuckle did a lot of damage. The Rolling Thunder to make sure that he just walks away from that scenario. In fact, he comes back for the stacks as well. But Husky's going to get all the creeps on the CM. Still, while that was happening top lane, John, Tomato kills off the Rubik. So Ocean ends up dying pretty much solo to the Medusa. And that's, again, some pretty bad news. Tomato did not really have any help around.
Yeah, he's just solo on the Medusa. There's just no answer for the damage output he gets with the Mystic Snake right now. And the Zoomers, they're going to have to try and regain some momentum here. They've got level 6 up in Brax. They've got level 7 on Gunner. They could maybe play around with that. I think they'd want their supports to get some more EXP here. So we have to see maybe Rubik level 6 for Ocean. It's going to be the spike, but you're losing a lot of ground. Like you mentioned, the swashbuckle damage from Saberlight. He has an early javelin, right? He went no boots, just going for the javelin start. And that means you can have a lot of damage out in the PA.
Just rushing right in onto Husky. That'll be another kill. Saberlight, he'll take it. And Sammy, he showed himself with the dagger. Saberlight doesn't have Rolling Thunder, nor does he have the mana for it. He's going to try to TP away, and he's going to make it. The Blood Rite just not popping in time. That's going to hurt for Brax, making the rotation up and getting nothing for it. And now he's just kind of stuck here. I think he wants Sammy to leave the lane. Sammy's going to get dived now. Dream Call there. Blood Riot TP's coming in. They still want to go for the dive, but Bra's gone a bit too far. He's been silenced up. He's trying to survive, but he's going to get punished for it. And a nice attempt from Undying, but you lose your mid-puck like that, it's not going to feel great.
No, it's some good punishment coming out from Zoomers. Brax blocking off the arrow really helped out as well. If the arrow actually landed, there might have been enough to clear out Sam Boy beforehand. So salvaging that situation. They do trump Tomato.
Gunner, level 8 now. Tomato is completely out of mana. Moon Meander's going to show up, but Tomato is still just trying to run. Can't get away, or maybe he can. No, the Tidebringer. Gunner going to make sure he does die. Now Moon Meander dropping pretty low himself. Sammy has a dagger up in a second, but it's already too late. Arrow there onto Ocean, also not going to connect from Moon Meander. Meanwhile, Saberlight going to rotate in from the backside, but he may have gone a bit too far up. He still has his team around, but they don't seem to want to fight. They don't have the Dream Coil, and Saberlight, he's been left behind. They just rupture him and he can't roll away. And for Zoomers, they're finding their footing.
And this is exactly what 4 Zoomers need to do. Just constantly run around, toss out these spells. They don't have the longest cooldown inside of Zoomers. They need to get this punishment out early while there's no value point on Tomato's Stone Gaze, and they are just hitting those spikes. So they need to maintain that momentum. They will have to watch the back and forth once the Dream Coil is up, and Bryle does have it up, are hunting for those bounties into a fight.
Well, they can find Ocean. Brax is also around. Bryle going to make it pretty obvious that he's around. In fact, they'll go instead onto Husky. Dream Coil popped as well, just to make sure they get the kill, and that they will. But now the Blood Rite comes in. Orb away from Bryle. Brax needs to back off as well as a Fire Blast flies in, but the arrow doesn't connect. That'll be it. A CM kill is all they get. But I suppose as long as Tomato's farming, they won't mind too much.
No, there's no pressure on the side of Undying to really get any of these bigger kills so far. Tomato's still having his free ramp up. He's going to be able to just secure the top lane for himself. Sammy has to TP in to kind of prevent that shove in, but the tower is already at 196 HP. So the next wave comes in, Tomato can just find that, and Zoomers will have to look for a tower trade elsewhere, and they might even have to be careful with Sammy here.
I mean, Sammy was about to die down a bot lane, so he TP'd up top. Bryle's here now, but you've already used that Dream Coil. So maybe a bit regretting the fact that they used it on the CM rather than holding it. Now that mid lane getting focused down here by 4 Zoomers. Going down very quick, in fact. Bloodlust not really helping out very much. TP cancellation as well as Ocean. He had the arrow. Moon Meander now can't leap away, has to take the boat. And they'll get another kill. 4 Zoomers, they're looking good today, John. With that mid-tier 1 tower down, the farming space for Tomato is going to be a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, Tomato's just playing in the triangle right now, which is still pretty good. They can't quite secure the triangle away from the Medusa, and I think that's going to be the big hurting point for Zoomers. And while this Medusa farms up, of course, it's much more efficient than the farm you'll see from Sammy. So you have this early start coming out for Gunner. They need to make the most of that little power spike you have on Kunkka, and they need to defend their own mid-tier 1.
That is true. Gunner is trying his best. Torrent going to fly out. Arrow does connect as well from Ocean. They don't have the follow-up, though. Brawl's going to stick around. With that Bloodlust, he does attack very quick. Looks like the Fade Bolt and Tidebringer should be enough to force them back, at least for now. Sammy is around. Brile is going to spot him out. Dream Coil still available, but he's not going to pop it yet. He's just trying to disrupt the farm. Arrow going to fly through. Phase Shift does barely juke it out. That'll be it. Meanwhile, bot lane, Saberlight ruptured again, but they found Husky on the CM. They're going to focus him down, and now it's onto Brax. Blood right there. Swashbuckle out from Saberlight, and Brax is just forced to run. At least he does get away with his life intact. That's going to make it an 8-6 now, John. 1k net worth lead still for Undying. The saving grace is the fact that Gunner is top of the net worth board on the Kunkka at the moment for Zoomers. You look at Sammy on that PA, he's been getting involved early, but his farm has suffered quite a bit.
Yeah, and this delays his battle fear by quite a fair bit as well. It's going to be slowing down, so you get so much more value for Tomato to play this farming game right now, and Zoomers are going to have to be careful about that. They need to keep the Haunt up. They are smoked up as tree right now. Gunner, Ocean, and Husky making their way bot. They're not going to find a big Dusa, but maybe they get the punishment on those supports in offlane here.
Well, they've got an X. Rolling Thunder should be enough to get away. Gunner, well, he gets a tip for it. Saberlight letting him know about it. Suppose you're forced the Rolling Thunder out, so you know that's down for a minute, but you did use your boat for that. While that was happening, of course, Brawl took the mid lane on the puck. Now it's kind of just an even map between these two. I'd still say Undying, the fact that they're farming up so well on Tomato, though, is going to be a major cause of concern. Like, Gunner's doing a great job on the Kunkka, but it's still a Kunkka. He's not going to transition quite as well as the Medusa will into the late game.
No, it's not the same kind of song and dance here for Zoomers. They're still trying to apply that aggression out. They're buying some space out for Sammy to bounce back in as well, but it's just such a slow process for the PA. They need to line these spells up a bit more. If they go for the X play on the Pango, they need a Rupture on top to prevent the Rolling Thunder from really flying out. And if you don't get that combo, then you just kind of miss out on that Bloodseeker pick. So you need to line up their spell uses here, line those timings up. There is a very fast Heaven's Halberd on Gunner, and that could be very potent against Tomato. The issue is you're buying an item to counter out the Medusa while the Medusa's not playing. So it delays your spike in terms of damage output and what you can do in these fights without the Medusa, as that's really a counter item pickup for that hero.
Well, Sammy trying to play along with Saberlight. Meanwhile, bot lane, Dream Coil committed onto Brax. He'll break the coil at the last second to boot. Very unfortunate stuff there for our Bloodseeker. Meanwhile, Saberlight, just look at this Pango. He's just chasing down Sammy by himself. Forces a TP out from Husky, and then just TPs away. While that's happening, John, bot lane, Gunner, he's going to be surrounded by Brio, Moon Meander, and you have another now. Saberlight shows his face, Gunner's trapped up, and he really can't get away from this one. He'll go down, Saberlight to take the kill. A 3k net worth lead now on Undying. Maybe a bit of a slow start, but they're really starting to take off now.
And they're hitting their spikes on that puck. Brawl is starting to be a menace now with the Witchblade up, saving up for his Blink next. Once you have the tools up in the puck, you can really start to hammer in the control, really start to dictate how these fights go. A 4k lead rising up here for Undying. You finally see Tomato overtake Gunner. In terms of net worth, he's already gotten his Manta style here on the Medusa, working into the MKB now as well. So you're hitting all these spikes on Tomato, and 4 Zoomers have not been able to hunt him down since that one kill. That is just going to be a massive issue as this game builds on. They need to hit these spikes on Zoomers to counteract the Medusa, but we talk about item timings. We were saying Sammy had to meet a 15-minute Battle Fury, 25-minute Deso BKB. It looks like it's going to be a little bit much later than that at this point, and that's going to offset just how much 4 Zoomers can play around this map while the Medusa just stays farming up like this.
In lane,
Gunner.
Grim Coil out, Gunner, he's been trapped up. Do they have the damage? Saberlight, he's going to pop the Rolling Thunder, and it will be enough. The boat, not there in time. At least Ocean, well, I thought he got the Rolling Thunder, but he did not. And now he's trapped up, he's gone. Dubu will take that one on the Ogre. On the brighter side, you do have the Battle Fury now up on Sammy. It just came out. But you look at Tomato again, and I know we keep repeating the same thing, but he's currently 2.5, 3k net worth ahead. And they're going straight for a Roshan. Very bad news for 4 Zoomers.
And they get the scan out, so they know it's happening. They could maybe make a play. They've got Rupture and Brax. It's just they're not quite in a position to get that done. The boat's not going to be off cooldown with Gunner's respawn. So it's going to be a free Roche coming out here for Undying. That's going to enable them to keep this aggressive play up. They're going to give the Aegis to Tomato. So now even if you do commit for the Medusa, you're going to have to kill her twice over. Tomato already has 2 levels in the Stone Gaze as well, so it's much easier for him to bail himself out. Zoomers, it's starting to feel like they're missing these timings. We need to see something come out within the next 5 minutes. Maybe an early BKB being opted for by Sammy should help the cause, and he is queuing the BKB up first over the Deso. So he knows he has to play aggressive. Once you have that BKB on the PA, you can maybe hit those timings. They will have to be careful with how they approach the rest of the heroes here on Undying Sunday.
He got arrowed by Moon. He's just going to get bursted, and now Brian with the Dream Call, at least only catching one. It's going to be Gunner. Sammy got away with the Blink Strike. Now they're just going to chase down the Kunkka, and Gunner has to accept the fact that he is going to die. He doesn't even throw the boat out. He'll try to delay it a little bit, but ultimately Brian will give him the tip. And they do get the kill. In fact, top lane, Brax gonna pop the Rupture onto Saberlight. He'll roll TP, and he's gonna make it. No second guessing himself as, oh, Sammy, no, not right now. He's blurred up, but he gets used up by Moon Meander. Luckily for Sammy, there was no arrow at the time, so he can juke the other one out. Sammy is gonna be able to Blink Strike away. That arrow just on a 1-second cooldown as Moon Meander got the Yules off. So at least they get the PA away, but I mean, Sammy, if he's not farming, he may as well just be dead anyway. It's basically the same thing for the Phantom Assassin. I think Undying with the 7k net worth lead now, we'll probably see them taking a lot more map control. In fact, mid lane, they've started already. Boat gonna fly through, but look at the HPs right now of 4 Zoomers. They are just getting ripped to shreds. Gunner is gonna try and turn around. They'll find Moon Meander. Saberlight, though, will kill off Ocean. They found Husky, and now the Fire Blast in. Brax is trying to run. Brawl just slowing and controlling him up. They still have the Dream Coil. They're going to throw it out. They've caught Gunner there as well. He's trying to survive, but he's just been constantly disabled. The Rolling Thunder being pump faked. Another tip out from Bryle, and Gunner's eventually going to die. There's only one left, and it's Sammy, and Bryle ran straight into him there for a second. The blur does save the PA again. He's just going to do his job and get back to farming, but Brawl is going to haunt him. In fact, they go in. Silence there. Rolling Thunder coming out from Saberlight. Sammy, he has nowhere to go. No one to Blink Strike to, and Tomato, he found himself a consolation prize. They're going to take the Rubik as well.
It's just messy for Zoomers, and we talked about this from the draft. They went for this Bloodseeker off lane, and it hasn't really done anything against Saberlight. Like, once or twice the Rupture stopped Rolling Thunder out, but with how tanky Saberlight is now, you saw it last time. He just rolls out of the Rupture, doesn't care. And Zoomers are starting to lose a lot more control on the map. They're missing out on some timings here. The slower start for Sammy is really starting to hurt them a lot more, and the Zoomers just can't find the angles into these fights. They needed to hunt Tomato down earlier on while he was weak. Now Tomato showing in the map, he's got the MKB up. The Medusa's pretty much unkillable at this point until more items fly in. Brax is slowing down extremely on that Bloodseeker. And Gunner, he's saving up for his BKB as well. So maybe once you have these 2 BKBs on the Kunkka, on the PA, you can start playing around a bit more. I just worry about the rest of the space that Undying can get out in that downtime.
Smoke mid lane. Looks like they want to try and make the jump in onto Sammy. He's going to try and make a run for it. The boat will even fly in to tank him up a little bit, but he is dropping very low. The Stone Gaze was there. Sammy's still alive. Is going to be able to walk away for now. Meanwhile, Saberlight turning the car around as Sammy is still being chased down. Bryle really wants this kill all the way into the silence. They will eventually get it with the Fire Blast of Dubu. Of course, that's a PA down without buyback. You wouldn't really think you need to hold buyback at this stage of the game up against a Medusa draft. But that is the case for 4 Zoomers, unfortunately. The tier 2 mid tower will drop. Tomato just going back down to the bot lane. And I think you want to wait till the Eye of Skadi's up before you really want to commit to that high ground. Maybe even the next Aegis. And there's no real rush for Undying. They know they've got the late game in the bag. They've got the whole map to farm. 4 Zoomers, they're the ones with a problem. They need to find a solution.
Yeah, they need to find these angles. Need to punish Tomato when he stays out farming alone. Zoomers just need to find that jump into the Dusa first, especially while Stone Gaze is down. It's just that when you jump now, Stone Gaze is up, so it's harder.
Well, Dream Coil top lane has been committed. They found Sammy again. Sammy, Fire Blast, he's dropping low. He's going to try and run. Meanwhile, the Medusa going to show up. Oh, Sammy blinked right into the Medusa. He's going to try and run. He's a slither of HP away from dying. He does end up dying. Husky trying to get out himself. Gunner will throw the boat out now onto the Dusa. They'll buy back on Husky. They're going to try and fight this one out. Tomato is getting very, very low now. They might just be able to get him. Tidebringer in. Blood right there as well. Tomato, he's going to run out of the Blood right and be just fine as Bryle is just cleaning up in the back lines. They get another, and there goes Gunner and the Kunkka. Moon gonna chase down Ocean. There's no way for the Rubik to survive. They've got Brax around to creep skip, but he's just trying to run away. He doesn't have time to creep skip. Bryle.
Oh, Moon. Oh,
Arrow
no,
there.
Brax.
Great setup by Moon Meander. Just
man.
complete domination from Undying.
There were some small mistakes coming out from Zoomers as well. Ocean lifted Tomato down to the low ground, while Brax isolated him up in that camp. And I think that stalled him out long enough that, you know, it didn't... Tomato had a lot of space to save his use on the Manta style there. They couldn't focus down the Medusa. The moment they jumped in, the Stone Gaze was popped off. We saw Gunner stare a bit too long on the edge while he was trying to get some combinations off. So they had the right idea in trying to hunt down Tomato. It just wasn't the execution they were looking for. Now they've got to deal with a Puck Ags on Bryle. He's going to be able to lock them in even when those BKBs come up. And that's going to be tough. They're relying a lot on the BKBs to allow them to stand in front. But you're already sort of counteracted by a very early Ags out from Bryle.
Oh, here we go. Sammy going to be spotted, Bryle. He'll pop the Dream Coil immediately. It's a long duration, but at least it was stolen back onto the puck. But they found Sammy. It won't matter. Bryle, he's still going to get away. The boat not even landing. And now Gunner. He just can't get away from this. Sammy, he's going to turn right back around. Saberlight at least dying a Brax. A 2-for-1 trade. Definitely in the favor of Undying. Undying, I thought for a second they might try to slowly chip away at the high ground, but they won't bother up against the Bloodseeker CM and the Rubik for that matter. They've got great high ground defense. Just back into the jungle, back to farming. No rush for Undying.
And they can just choke out the map at this point. Keep building up on the Dusa. Tomato now saving up for his Butterfly. Already has the Scotty up on the Dusa, so any sort of durability you're getting out here with a boat with any additional sustain is just kind of counteracted. And they hunt down Brax.
Yeah, Fire Blast connects. Bryle has the silence out. Dream Coil up in 2 seconds if he really wants to commit it, and he probably will, and does. Blood Rider baited. Now Sammy going to try and jump in, but the arrow connects from Moon Meander. All right, onto the PA's head. They get Brax. They'll probably kill Sammy. He's going to try and fight back with the freezing field. He's getting a fair bit of damage out. Bryle's low now, but he kills Sammy before he leaves, and now Tomato going to join in onto Gunner. They're trying to kill off the puck still. It's just not going to pan out for them. There goes Gunner. A 4-for-1, and that's it. GG's called. They do not believe they can come back from this game, and quite frankly, John, I would agree with them. It is looking very rough.
It was. They had a hard time here, Zoomers. There were a couple of things that went wrong, right? It's just from the draft. They went for PA into Pangolier, which is already a pretty tough time in lane, and we saw that happen. Sammy was just sort of struggling in that lane for a long time. We saw the early Javelin pickup from Saberlight causing a lot of issues there for the side of Zoomers. And then they also had this Bloodseeker counter pick for a Pangolier that was first picked. So they had they had a weird matchup in the off lane. They picked an off lane to counteract the opposing's off lane more than it was to set up for their own off lane versus safe lane matchup. And I think that's where it fell flat for Zoomers. So they're going to have to reapproach those drafts, reconsider how they kind of go into Undying. Undying, for their part, that just looked like a clinic. They hit their timings well. They protected Tomato. The Zoomers couldn't find the opening, and it just built off from there.
With that, John, of course, it is MLP Dota and JohnXFire, and it's been a pleasure. We'll be back, of course, for game number 2 in roughly 10 minutes or so.